Okay, we're going to get started here. I'm just going to make sure that this is still private while I'm taping it, because just make sure of that. See, it changed to, okay, hopefully that's private again. I don't know why it keeps changing. Okay, if you guys are in here, you can stay in, but I'm taping this, you know, like an episode. I don't know why it keeps changing to public. So I mean, you're welcome to stay, but I'm just going to go over the facts here for the episode 4. So that's what I'm going to do here. So in case you're wondering, but I will have a live after this. Okay. So now we're going to go through the discovery on, we're going to look at Officer Goodman. That's the officer that called Chris that time that we have the video of from the last episode, I think it was, or it was episode 2. And I want to just grab his discovery on that. Hang on. Where did I have that open? I think that went over here, because I'm going to pull it over there. We're going to look at what he had in there, and let's see, is this it? Let's see where that went when that opened. Okay, so it went here. All right, let's see if this is the one we had. I had everything ready, and then I just went and see if I have it. Okay, so this should be Goodman. Okay, so I guess I will pull this over there so you can see it too, what I'm seeing. Hang on. And just let me make sure that's showing up for you in there. Okay. All right, so this is just the synopsis, you know, on Monday, August 13th, right? Mother and daughters were identified as missing as Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, and Celeste Catherine Watts. It was explained that there had been no contact with Shanann or the daughters throughout the day. This is Officer Goodman's report, and that she had not contacted any family or friends. It was further explained that she and her husband Christopher had discussed separating from each other early that morning, and that a friend of hers had called for a well-being check, because that's Nicole Atkinson, who was Utah. You'll see that name because she had not had her name changed yet with her marriage, because Shanann and the 2 girls had not been heard from or seen that day, and that Shanann had not taken any identification, vehicle, money, cell phone, credit cards, children's car seats, etc. I was requested to help search through the Windham Hill subdivision homes, which are currently under construction, in case Shanann and the girls had for some reason sought refuge there. I helped search through numerous homes which were open and under construction. These are in the back, as well as construction dumpsters in the Windham Hill area to locate any evidence of the 3. I did not observe anything which would indicate Shanann or her daughters were in the area. I was then requested by Sergeant Bakes to enter Shanann, Bella, and Celeste into the CCIC and CIC as missing persons, with a request to check on their well-being if contacted. At approximately 2 a.m., now this is where we saw that phone call. This is his written version of what happened there. We saw actually what happened. On Tuesday, August 14th, 2018, I contacted Christopher to gather some information that was required on the missing persons reports. The girls' height, weight, hair, eye color, any scars or marks. When I tried to speak with Christopher at that time, I had called the telephone number he had provided. Several attempts had been made to call Christopher, but when the number would be connected, there was just dead air. At approximately 2:05, I received a call from Christopher from a different telephone number. That would be his Anadarko work phone. Christopher told me something had been wrong with his telephone and he had been calling from his work telephone. I explained to Christopher that I needed some information regarding his daughters so that they could be entered as being missing, and he advised me of the requested information. He also told me that Shanann had a scar in the middle of her forehead, above the bridge of her nose, which ran up and down, direction not side to side. He also told me the scar had been caused by glass from an accident she had been involved in, and that it was difficult to see and only became visible if she became heated, as if she was in the sun too long. Christopher at that time told me he still had not heard from his wife and that he could not think of anyone else for us to call to help locate her or his daughters. It should be mentioned that once I had made contact with Christopher, he did not ask me if I had been calling because I had any information concerning his missing wife and daughters, or if I was calling because they had been found. After speaking with Christopher, I provided the information to Weld County dispatch records, and Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were entered into the missing persons dispatch, faxed over the confirmation information to me, and it is included in this report. I also checked with dispatch to see if they could electronically advise any hospitals in the area, making them aware of the missing persons. And then at 4:38 a.m., he was contacted directly by the police department by Shanann's mother, Sandra Rusak. Rusak was upset and told me that she and her husband believed that their daughter and granddaughter's disappearance involved foul play, and that she honestly believes that her son-in-law was involved in the disappearance of their daughter and granddaughters. She stated that Christopher is acting weird and out of the ordinary. She said that Christopher is telling people he has to go to work, and that just doesn't seem right. She said she felt he was going out to pour oil on the bodies to dispose of them somewhere. That's why she thought he was going to go to work on that Tuesday, okay, because he was insistent he had to go to work. Sandra said that she felt when Shanann had come home late and had been exhausted, and that she and Christopher had argued, but due to Shanann's lupus, she would not have been able to put up a fight. Sandra also said that she brought Shanann an Apple Watch, okay, and I think we did go over that part of his report there in the last one, but then, let me see here. Okay, this is about getting Officer Dahl went to get the security footage at Nate's house next door. So they got the footage from Nate. Detective Bamhauer gave 3 times to check at 1:45, 5:30, 12:47 hours on August 13th. Nate showed Officer Dahl the video footage. Officer Dahl recorded the video footage and will have it attached to the case. Nate was asked for all of the video footage for the 13th. Nate said he would have his wife contact Xfinity and have the video footage transferred. Nate said he would contact Officer Dahl when the footage was available. Nate provided a phone number of blah 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 for the officer to contact him. And then let's see, and this is yeah, Jimmy, I'm recording. So it's this is the other officer here. This is not Steve, and I think it's Walsh. So this is his report on the 15th. He reported. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay, I'm sorry. So Jimmy's wondering why the video is private, because I'm trying to record it and then put it up. Okay. So let's see. So he took various photographs of potential interest at the scene as he searched. He later had some photographs logged into evidence. It was agreed at the beginning of the search that the CBI agent would take responsibility of taking overall photographs of the scene at the time. And he was assigned as the field evidence technician. He collected various items to enter into evidence, including multiple electronic devices, watches, and transported the items for immediate analysis by assisting agencies Back at the incident command center, I immediately logged these items in, and after initial analysis by agencies on scene, sealed and placed these items into evidence. I collected a hardback book. That's the book that was in the garbage. Within its original Amazon shipping box that was titled Hold Me Tight. That was the marriage self-help book that Shanann had sent to Chris. Appearing to be brand new, I was informed that it had been located in the recycle bin. I collected a light blue nitrile glove that was located on the top of the refrigerator in the kitchen. On scene, I noted the location of what was believed to be Shanann Watts' personal luggage with ID attached to the outside indicating C. Watts. I was later informed that this item had been moved from where the officers had initially observed it, being in a small corner area directly next to the stairs leading from the main level up to the loft. I observed it located just inside and to the left of the master bedroom doorway. It appeared to be completely packed with clothes and overnight items, toiletries, as it probably was still packed from a trip that I was informed Shanann Watts had recently got back from. I unpacked the items to examine anything that might stand out as abnormal with photographs, and these photographs are all in videos we have up. I can put links to them in the description. It appears to have normal personal clothing, items, toiletries that one would have on any small trip. The most notable item collected on scene at that time is what appeared to be out of order were pillowcases and a top bed sheet found within the kitchen trash can located next to the kitchen island, along with other items generally found in the kitchen trash. Most notably, what was appeared to be missing from an average bed sheet set, and possibly what was the fitted sheet portion of the set. I immediately passed this information on to supervisors in the Incident Command Center. Later on the same day, at approximately 22:12 hours, I reported back to the scene to execute a search warrant. Items collected from the search were logged into evidence. A copy of the search warrant was left on the kitchen island along with an inventory list. Okay, so now this is, which officers? This is Goodman again. So on Wednesday, August 15th at approximately 8:50 p.m., and this at the time is when Chris is giving his confession there, okay? As requested by Sergeant Bakes, I secured the doors, this is of the Lexus, rear hatch, fuel door, and hood of a white in color Lexus SUV bearing Colorado license plates. The vehicle was a vehicle of interest in this active investigation, and I was further requested to have the vehicle towed and impounded by Brad's Towing. This is when Ronnie says, they took your Lexus. Remember when he comes into the confession there and says they took your Lexus? Okay. He was very upset about that, but that's what they did. They impounded it. Once Brad's Towing arrived, I had to unseal the driver's door so the vehicle could be loaded onto the flatbed tow truck. The vehicle was then loaded onto the tow truck, and I followed it to the secured storage lot, where I once again secured the vehicle once it had been brought into the storage building. I realized that there may be another vehicle of interest, Chris's truck, from the case being transported to the storage lot, and I once again unsealed the Lexus so that the tow operator could secure the vehicle further inside, making room for the other vehicle. The Lexus was then sealed with evidence tape, and the tape was signed and dated. I remained on scene at the storage lot until the building was locked and secured. Body-worn camera footage of the vehicle being secured at the towing station is available. Now, this is Officer Matthew James, and he's saying that he went to the Walmart in Longmont because there was a tip that maybe Shanann had been cited buying 2 booster seats and a child's potty seat. Of course, that was not true. And so he went to check that out. That didn't appear, to be anything. And then on 8:15 at 20:15 hours, he transported Chris Watts' father, Ronnie, from the Frederick Police Department to area hotels near Firestone Boulevard and East 125th Frontage Street. Before leaving, Ronnie collected his duffel bag from the back of the white Lexus SUV. There were other items in the trunk of the SUV, and he advised the bag was the only item that was his. Ronnie went inside 3 hotels in the area, 2 of which said they did not have any vacancies. He advised me he was going to stay at the Comfort Suites in Firestone. At approximately 22:05, I took photos of Chris, and this is on our site too. While they took his photos while he was in the interview room. That's where he took his shirt off, and Tammy Lee was there as well. They took photos of his hands, neck, face. There was a red mark on the left side of his neck that he identified as being a mosquito bite. There was also a red mark on the front of his neck, and this officer did not observe any other obvious signs of injury to Chris's body. At approximately 23:02 hours, he entered the interview room and placed Chris into custody via handcuffs. A belly belt was placed on him, and his hands were secured in front of him. He then transported Chris to the Weld County Jail. So, I mean, all of this, too, is on the site, and that is then Officer James there that did that and then transported him, and he's the one that Chris mentions. You know, they slammed the door on him and said, good luck. You know, I don't know what Chris expected. I really don't. Okay, then we have Officer Ian Albert. On the 15th, he said he contacted the mother of Shanann Watts, Sandra Rusak, via phone. Sandra lives in North Carolina along with her husband, Frank. I asked Sandra to give me some background as to Shanann's marriage to Chris and what she may have observed. And that we read, I believe it was in the first episode of this new series here, so you could go back and listen to that. Sandra informed me that her daughter and Chris had been married for the past several years and that over time things seemed great between the two of them. Sandra believed that Chris was a great father and husband and that she couldn't ask for a better person to marry Shanann. However, Sandra noted recently that Chris's behavior had seemed to change. Recently, Chris, Shanann, and the grandkids had spent time out in North Carolina with Frank and Sandra, and during that time, Chris appeared to be quite cold towards Shanann and the children. Sandra recalled one night when Shanann was quite sick due to her pregnancy. Now, we're told it might not have just been that. He's claiming that he gave her some Oxy and had been vomiting for most of the evening. Sandra noted that Chris had not been supportive at all to Shanann, and Sandra found it quite odd. Sandra made other references to Chris's behavior being cold and indifferent toward Shanann, and I asked Sandra if she knew why this could be, and she was not certain. I also asked Sandra how often she spoke to Shanann, and her reply was every day. Sandra described her relationship with Shanann to be extremely close, and they would talk on the phone frequently. They also chatted on video via Skype as well. And then there was nothing further from Sergeant Albert. And here we have Brad Davies. And this was on 8/15 at 1600 and 1800 hours. He stood at the Aggregate Boulevard and Billings Avenue, one of the entrances to the Wyndham Hill subdivision. Those homes in the back, and made contact with vehicles and pedestrians entering or leaving the subdivision. He handed out flyers, the missing person flyers, and he asked if anyone had any information, if they had any video footage of vehicles. They contact the Frederick Police Department about Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and nothing further was at that time. Now, this is Officer Manley, and his report starts on Tuesday, August 14th. That was the day after they went missing. He was called by the Frederick Police Department to assist with efforts to locate a mother and 2 small children. He was tasked with conducting a canvas search of surrounding areas to look for Watts. To look for Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, and Celeste Watts. I walked around the community handing out flyers and speaking with homeowners in the area, trying to see if anyone knew where the missing family went. At this time, I was not sure if they left on foot or in a vehicle and wanted to help locate them in a timely manner. While talking to several residences in the area, we were also able to locate several houses with door ring cameras or other types of video cameras. I did not see anyone walking in the area at the time the 3 parties went missing. I did not see anything recorded that showed odd vehicles in the area and did not see the 3 walk past any homes with cameras. While I was walking in the neighborhood, I was not informed of any sightings of the family, and I was not able to find anyone who saw or heard anything. Okay, I contacted a young Travis, unknown date of birth, who was able to provide me with camera footage from the Windham Hill subdivision's public pool. He provided me with a USB drive and several hours of video and several angles to view. I did not see anything unusual, and I did not see any vehicles that were matching the husband's vehicle. I did not see anyone walking around during the night, but the cameras do not show all routes that someone would have been able to leave the area. The USB drive was entered into evidence and attached to the report. Now here's the one thing. I was met by Levi Husk, unknown date of birth, on 8/16 at the Frederick Police Department. Husk provided me with a USB drive. He stated that he lives on the 6300 block of Saratoga Trail. I reviewed the video, but did not see anything pertaining in the early morning of 8/13. I have placed the USB drive into the Frederick evidence lockers, but in this, there is Chris's truck, which I'll show you. I was provided the USB drives from Tess Simpkins. One USB drive was from a store located Jake's Jabs Boulevard, Firestone. The other one was from a store located at on Washington Street, Broomfield. I gave them to Commander Egan and CBI and FBI personnel. After they were finished with the USB drives, they were given back to me. I did not view the recordings, but I've added the USB drives. Okay, but I'll show you that, and these are just his personal notes. And just so everyone knows, they have to put their personal notes in the files. Okay, this is Scott Coonrod on August 15th at 22:45. This officer responded to Anadarko oil site near Rogan, Colorado. Upon arrival, I was advised CBI had collected several pieces of evidence and placed them in evidence bags. Hair samples from the thief hatch on top of the oil battery, parts of a rake, a bed sheet, and other things had been collected. These items were given to Detective Baumhover. We started excavating a potential dig site about 100 feet from the oil tank battery. The dirt appeared to have been freshly dug. At about 2300 hours, we located the body of an adult female, which we believed to be Shanann. The body was decomposing and was removed at 10 hours. The body was in a shallow grave. The buttock was approximately 8 inches from the top of the burial site. Weld County coroner took possession of the body and photographs were taken. This is also Officer Coonrad, and this is on August 16th. He responded back to the oil well site to check the oil tank battery for the missing children. A grid search around the oil well site was conducted. A piece of rake was found. The rake piece was given to Detective Baumhover. Anadarko had vac trucks on site and began draining the crude oil out of the oil tank battery into a holding tank. The crude oil was then pumped into the vac truck using a hose with a screen on it. After the crude oil was removed from tank number 17697, Colorado State Patrol hazmat crew removed the entry door. At approximately 15:30 hours, CSP hazmat crew entered the oil battery and found who we believe to be Celeste Watts. The juvenile was wearing a diaper. It was a pull-up. The body was decomposing and was completely covered in crude oil. Weld County coroner took possession of the body. Anadarko then drained tank 17698 in the same manner. At approximately 1750 hours, CSP hazmat crew entered into that oil battery and removed who we believe to be Bella Watts. Now, I just want to take a minute here just to talk about something right now. Back when we were covering this case, I'm sure that you know there were channels that dealt with a lot of speculation, or conspiracy, I think it's more like it. And the reason I'm mentioning is because it came into our room one night. Someone was insisting that it was very possible the children were not put in through the top hatch, and that what Chris had done was taken off these panels. And even when we try to explain that it's just totally not possible in the amount of time Chris had, plus without the vacuum trucks, I mean, just craziness was going around, and there was no rhyme or reason. So if any of you were here that time, this will further reiterate. You see the time frame here of how long it took to get just Cece out before they could even empty Bella's tank? It's over 2 hours, okay? Just to do that. You could not pull that panel off unless all that oil was vacuumed out of there, okay? So there were 2 trucks there. It was just nuts. Anybody that was there that night knows what I'm talking about, so that's why I'm just taking the time to point out this time frame here. And altogether, I believe it was close to 6 hours before everything was completed with recovering the girls. So and there had to be a great deal of digging done around the batteries. It took a tremendous effort to do that, and Chris was not doing that by himself. Also, there was hair on the hatch, as we just heard, and there's a reason for that. So just wanted to reiterate that again. This is Catherine Lines, and she got a call, a safe to tell report, that a woman who identified herself as Juanita saw on the news that a woman and her 2 daughters were found dead and that Chris Watts was to blame. She went on to state that one of her Facebook friends has a daughter named Bella and that she mentions misinformation about having a wife. She stated this was nothing with nothing, but they do have to put this in the report so that it's in there. This is also her report. This is about on Tuesday, August 14th at about 11:45. State of Colorado, County of Weld, Town of Frederick. Officer Kate Lines reported to the police department and met with a search and rescue team and their canines for search efforts regarding the disappearance of Shanann Watts and her 2 children. After being briefed on the situation, I, along with Officer Perez, Deputy Take Hatch, Boulder County Sheriff Jane Zimelski, and Jeff Hubert, search and rescue dogs on the United States Sardis, responded to the home of the missing individuals. Upon arrival, I contacted Chris Watts. I explained to him that the Frederick Police Department brought in some extra resources, search dogs, to help in locating his family. And we have a video of this as well. I'll put a link. With his permission, he allowed a full search of his home. Of course, he was out giving media interviews during this time. And again, I have videos of this up. He allowed a full search of his home. Prior to the beginning of this search, Deputy Take Hatch explained that what would be needed for the dogs to have a successful search. She explained that the need to collect scent articles. While speaking with Chris about appropriate items such as shoes and clothing, she stated the importance that the items not be touched by anyone else. Each time Deputy Take Hatch and Chris asked Chris about specific items, he mentioned that he had in some way touched them. Deputy Take Hatch was able to collect the scent from shoes. Upon entry to the home, I immediately noticed a strong odor of cleaning chemicals, okay, because Chris had been cleaning, that he was in that house on the 13th and he had been cleaning all night long. The home appeared spotless. And you'll see even in some of the pictures that we have up, you can see on the counter there's one with like a cleaning solution and like a microfiber rag on top of it. The carpet had noticeable vacuum lines. As we walked to the kitchen living room area, I noticed that the television was on a sports show. While standing by the back slider door, Deputy Tkach inquired about the little girl's shoes on the back porch, and Chris said that the girls wore them to a pool party that was Jeremy's son's birthday party, and that the shoes had been wet, so he put them out there to dry. And during the conversation, Chris mentioned that he had made the girls' beds that morning and had done laundry. He had said that he had a hard time sleeping and that he's used to one of his little girls throwing chicken nuggets at him and the other one sitting in the high chair. Chris was asked about Shanann's car and if she drove it to the airport, and he said no. Nikki dropped her off, and that's again Nicole Atkinson. It's the white car out front. He was asked if he drives it, stating the white car in the driveway. No. He was asked if his wife has a car, and he pointed to the garage and said yes. When asked if he drives it, he stated that he took the girls to pool party in it on Saturday. But it was Sunday. So whether he said it's the pool party was Sunday, so it's probably a typo. Officer Perez commented to Chris that he can't imagine what he's going through. While speaking with Chris, he showed no emotion, okay? And he did not even seem to respond to the situation. Chris did not ask any questions or offer to help at any time. Chris's facial expressions rarely changed. However, when they did, he seemed to smile / smirk inappropriately, displaying a lack of empathy, specifically when speaking about his children. His voice remained low and even-toned. His nonverbal cues were very apparent. Chris had very erect and almost tense posture, and his arms crossed a majority of the time. Chris lacked eye contact and appeared to be nervous, looking around constantly. Chris escorted us through the entire house, showing us each room, including the laundry room, where he dug through dirty laundry, and again mentioning that he was doing his kids' laundry. Prior to beginning the search, Chris was asked to step outside so that there was no interference with the dogs. Deputy Perez remained with him, and the front door remained open so that at any time he wanted to discontinue the search, he could do so, and the information could be easily relayed. I entered the home with Jane and her canine, who she stated is a cadaver dog. As we moved through the home, Jane explained what type of scent the dogs alert to. Jane mentioned several times that the dogs alerted to areas where there may have been some sort of trauma or struggle, such as an argument, explaining that the scent from people's pools and collects in the area. The dogs did not locate any human remains. The search continued from the neighborhood clubhouse west and then north, circling back to the home without success. Jane's dog was later taken to Chris's work truck, which was parked just east of his home. Jane stated that the dog detected but gave no hard command. However, the dog did not enter the vehicle and the doors to the vehicle remained closed. While in the home, a track dog was asked to enter, as there had been some indication from the cadaver dog that a struggle or argument may have ensued. Jeff Hebert and his canine entered the home. Jeff stated that his dog showed interest in the unmade bed in the basement and an area just below the stairs, but did not do any final trained alerts. We exited the basement and went upstairs to the garage. No indicators were noted in the garage as we exited the home. After completion of the canine searches, the canine team was thanked for their help, and they left. I remained in the area to assist with a neighborhood canvass, going door to door, handing out flyers and speaking with residents. At approximately 20:15 hours, I returned to the police department and was told that we were done for the day. The reports and map tracked back from the Canine team members have been added to the case file. On Wednesday, August 16th, 2018, at approximately 15:30 hours, I reported for duty and was asked to respond to Aggregate Boulevard and Wyndham Hill to hand out more flyers and contact people in and out of the Wyndham Hill neighborhood. At approximately 1800 hours, I was instructed to sit on the south side of the house and not allow anyone in or out of the home. I remained in that location until instructed to respond to the front of the house at approximately 2200 hours. At approximately 2212, a search warrant was executed. I was tasked with perimeter security, not allowing anyone not authorized to step on the property. At approximately 2216, I notified Sergeant Bakes that the tow truck arrived on scene. I maintained the crime scene log, and at approximately 23:28, after completion of the search warrant and evidence had been secured in patrol vehicles, I handed the crime scene log over to FET Officer Waj and left the scene. And this is Officer Perez, Ivan Perez. This is his report. So on the 14th, and someone might say, well, why are we reading all these reports? Because they're all done by different officers. They were all doing different tasks. They all noticed different things. And it's very important to read them all to see what each one noted, because there are differences. And if you're studying this case, this is very important information to study. On 8/14/2018, at approximately 11:45 hours, I was dispatched to 2825 Saratoga Trail regarding 3 missing people. I arrived at the Frederick Police Department. I was debriefed of the situation. I was told by Commander Egan I would be assisting a team of search and rescue dogs in trying to find a direction of travel from the 3 missing people, Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, and Celeste Watts. I arrived at the location with 3 search and rescue dogs. 2 of the dogs were from Search and Rescue Dogs of the United States, and the 2 handlers were Jeff Hybert and Jane Jaminski. The 3rd dog was the Canine unit from Boulder, Colorado, and the handler was Deputy Tkach. Upon knocking on the door, I contacted Christopher Watts. Officer Lyons asked Christopher for consent to have officers enter his home to collect a scent sample for the dogs to sniff, and also for the dogs to enter the home. Christopher was advised that this was voluntary and he had the right to refuse. Christopher agreed and let officers inside the home. While inside the house, I observed the house was very clean. From the middle and upper level of the house, Deputy Tkach asked Christopher if there was any dirty laundry from Shanann, Christopher's wife. Christopher showed Deputy Tkach a basket of laundry that was located in the master bathroom. Christopher advised his clothes were also mixed with Shanann's clothes, so Deputy Tkach was not able to use any of the dirty laundry. Christopher advised Deputy Tkach that all of the dirty laundry that belonged to Bella and Celeste, Christopher's daughters, he had picked up and put in a dirty laundry basket. Christopher advised he made both Bella and Celeste's bed and had touched the covers and pillows. Christopher advised that the most recent pair of shoes that Bella and Celeste wore were from a pool party they went to on Saturday, 8/11. They didn't go to the pool party on Saturday. They went on Sunday. Christopher advised Bella and Celeste. See, that bothers me that they have, did he tell them that it was Saturday so they would say, oh, the scent is not, or did they really just make a mistake? Both of them in their reports? Kind of weird. Christopher advised Bella and Celeste wore the shoes home from the pool party. The shoes were located just outside the back patio on a chair. Boulder County Canine Deputy Tkach took a scent sample from the shoes that belonged to Bella and Celeste. Now, those would probably have had chlorine on them, too, if it was pool water, so I don't know what that would have done to the scent. Deputy Tkach took a scent sample from a pair of sandals that belonged to Shanann. I asked Christopher if Shanann usually goes out on hikes, and Christopher said, no, we've never been on a hike. When going back inside the house with the rescue dog and Jane, a news reporter and neighbor were inside the home and were asked to step outside so the dogs would not be confused with all the scents inside the house. One of the rescue dogs and Jane entered the home, and Christopher chose to step outside to do an interview with a news reporter. I stayed outside with Christopher and advised him on several occasions he was allowed inside the home if he wished to go inside. Christopher stated he understood and still chose to stay outside with the news reporter. Video and audio was recorded and will be added, and we do have that on our site. Officer Lyons stayed with the rescue dog and Jane inside the house. Officer Lyons told me to ask Christopher what Bella and Celeste were wearing on Sunday night, Monday morning. Christopher advised that Bella and Celeste wear pajamas to bed and usually wear long dress style pajamas. Christopher advised he did not know exactly which ones Bella or Celeste were wearing that night. Officer Lyons stated that Jane requested a different dog enter the house. Jane stepped outside the home with the rescue dog, and Jeff went inside the home with a different dog. Christopher was asked again if he consented to have the dog enter the home, and Christopher advised again that he understood and he consented to letting the dog enter the home. For more information on the dogs being inside the home, please see Officer Lyons' report. We already have. Once the dog was done from inside the home, Deputy Takach and I searched around the area with one of the dogs to try and catch a scent trail with Bella, Celeste, or Shanann leading anywhere around the area. That also is up. Deputy Takach and I walked approximately Windham Hill Parkway in Saratoga to Billings Avenue and Miners Peak Circle, and from Billings Avenue to Aggregate Boulevard to Windham Hill Parkway, and then Windham Hill Parkway back to Saratoga Trail again. The dogs did not alert on anything in the area that was searched. Exact GPS locations of what the other two dogs searched will be added to the case file. Deputy Takach drew on a hand map the areas she had searched and not found anything. The map will be added to the case report. Christopher's work truck was parked just northeast in the front of the house on the north side of the street facing west. One of the dogs was taken to the work truck, and Jane advised the dog showed interest in the truck. Jane stated the dog did not alert for any human remains inside the vehicle, but the dog caught the scent of one of the three missing parties. Command staff was advised. I was requested to retrieve video surveillance from McDonald's and Home Depot from 8:10 to 8:14. The manager of the McDonald's states only a supervisor has access to the video surveillance, and a supervisor will not be there until 1900 hours. Flash drives were left with the manager. Upon arrival at the Home Depot, I spoke to the manager, who informed me he did not have access to the video surveillance at the store. The manager stated he would have to request the video footage to the store that has access. I left a business card containing the case number and date, time of surveillance that was needed. The manager advised he should hear back within a day, and the store will contact me once the video is ready. At approximately 20:30, I was advised there was currently no more assignments and done for the day. On 8/14/2018, at approximately 2300 hours, Sergeant Bakes called me to come back to work and watch the house. At approximately 30 hours, I arrived at 2825 Saratoga Trail and parked in front of the house. I was advised to stay watching the house and only document if anyone arrives at the house. I was advised that Christopher was spending the night at a friend's house. No one arrived at the house all morning. At 600 hours, I was relieved from my position by Detective Baumhofer, and that is the surveillance that happened on the 14th. And this here is Amanda Purcell. That's nothing that we need to go over. This is giving out flyers. And this is Officer Davies. Okay, so now on 8/17, Officer Brad Davies was dispatched to contact Taylor Welch regarding the case, and he spoke to Taylor via phone. Taylor stated she's a friend of Shanann and her family. Taylor advised me she occasionally babysat for Celeste and Bella, and that she was a good friend of Shanann's. Taylor stated that she was having to plan a gender reveal party for Shanann's unborn baby. The party was scheduled to happen on August 19th. Taylor stated that Nicole Uthoff, informed her on August 8th that the gender reveal party would need to be canceled. Taylor stated she initiated a text conversation with Shanann regarding the cancellation of the party. Taylor thought the text conversation may be relevant to the case. The following is a reproduction of the text conversation that began on 8/8 at approximately 8:39. So Taylor says, Nikki just told me you want to cancel the gender reveal. What's going on? Is everything okay? And Shanann says, Chris said, we're not compatible anymore. And then Taylor says, I just landed in Chicago, still on the airplane. Oh my God, what? And Shanann said, he said we are not compatible anymore. He refused to hug me, said he thought another baby would fix his feelings, says he refused couples counseling. Before I left, he couldn't get enough of each other. Taylor says, what the hell changed in 6 weeks? Shanann says, he said he had a lot of time to think. Taylor says, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. Shanann says, girl, me either. Taylor says, we will get together when I get home. Shanann said, I cried myself to sleep over a week now. Okay, honey. Have a great time. Taylor said, I'm here for you and whatever you need. I love you. Shanann says, love you more. Thank you, love. The following is a reproduction of the text conversation that began 8/9/18 at 18:20. Shanann says, next Friday, I think, 17th, could you help with the kids for a few hours? Taylor says, I have to work both of my jobs. I'm sorry. What's going on? Shanann says, we're trying to leave for weekend. Friend who's staying weekend can't be here till after 7. Taylor says, oh, sorry, I work 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. You and Chris? The text thread ended, and the following text appears to be 8/13/18 at 17:26 hours from Taylor to Shanann. Taylor says, are you and the girls okay? A copy of the text thread screenshots will be included in the case file. I advise Taylor that investigators will contact her with any further questions. Okay, so these are the actual texts, okay, that we just read. And the blue is Taylor, the gray is Shanann. So let's read the actual ones because there is additional information. So blue again is Taylor. Nikki just told me you want to cancel the gender reveal. What's going on? Is everything okay? No. Can I call you tomorrow and tell you? Chris said we are not compatible anymore. I just landed in Chicago, still on the airplane. Oh my God, what? He said we're not compatible anymore. He refused to hug me. Said he thought another baby would fix his feelings. Said he refused couples counseling. Before I left, he couldn't get enough of each other. What the hell changed in 6 weeks? He said he had a lot of time to think. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. Girl, me either. We will get together when I get home. I've cried myself to sleep over a week now. Okay, honey, have a great time. I'm here for you and whatever you need. I love you. Love you more. Thank you, love. Then on August 9th, next Friday, I think it's the 17th, could you help with the kids for a few hours? I have to work both of my jobs. I'm sorry, what's going on? We're trying to leave for weekend. Friend who's staying weekend can't be here until after 7. Oh, sorry, I work 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. You and Chris? And there was no answer. And then on Monday, the 13th, at 5:26, Taylor asks, are you and the girls okay? Of course, there was no answer to that. Okay, this is Paul Scarlett, another officer on the scene. And on August 14th, At approximately 10:15, he was asked if he could come in to relieve the CSO Simmons, currently posted at Wyndham Hills Subdivision watching a house. At approximately 12:08, I coded into Weld County Dispatch that I was en route to 2825 Saratoga Trail. At approximately 12:17 hours, I coded into Weld County Dispatch that I was on the scene. I met with CSO Simmons, who explained that I was relieving her and was to sit in an unmarked silver Caprice facing south on the west side of Steeple Rock Drive, approximately 100 yards north of 2825 Saratoga Trail. Officer Simmons explained that I was to keep a log and document unusual activity. Bushnell binoculars power 10x25 were used to assist in viewing the house from my position. I observed the following. Voice to text was used to keep notes on police department issued cell phone. Then emailed to my work email. The email was printed out and placed in the file. Spelling and grammar off. Due to voice to text inaccuracies on iPhone, spelling and grammar corrections made, then added to report. So 12:23 on scene. 12:28, white car parked out front of 2825 Steeple Rock Drive, facing east, unknown license plate, left, northbound, Steeple Rock Drive. 12:39, observe a white four-door SUV-type vehicle return to 2825 Steeple Rock Drive. Did not see occupants get out. 14:15, relieved for a restroom break. 14:20, returned to post. At 14:57, the garage door of 2825 Steeple Rock Drive. Can see white Lexus in the garage. Observed, see, and that shouldn't be Steeple on, that should be Saratoga. White Lexus said that's what he's talking about, the inaccuracies. This is Saratoga. Okay, so I'm just going to do the residents at this point. Observed a white male, short dark hair with a beard, a gray shirt, black shorts, walk from the front passenger side to the rear of the white Lexus, unknown license plate. Open the back hatch and place what appeared to be a square bag with pink flowers with white behind the flowers into the back of the SUV. He then proceeded to grab a cloth-like item already in the back of the SUV and place it in the bag. The male then closed the hatch and walked back to the right side, passenger side of the SUV, out of sight. Then the garage door closed. Did not see the license plates. So, let's see here. Where were we? 15:17, the garage door reopened. At 15:17, the garage door closed. 15:22, information on Lexus given to Detective Baumhover. 15:29, received a call from Commander Egan to return to the police department. End of log. On August 15th, I was asked by Officer Brent Manley to help with an informal checkpoint at Billings Avenue and Aggregate Boulevard. At approximately 1600 hours, I was posted on Billings Avenue at Aggregate Boulevard with Officer Ken Dahl passing out flyers to all passerbys asking if they knew the person in the flyer, they knew anybody in the flyers or had cameras in their home. Individuals indicating they knew of anything or had cameras were asked to pull off and speak to Officer Dahl. At approximately 1800 hours, Officer Manley had me return back to the Frederick Police Department. So this is just the report. So we have, again, this was on the 14th. Okay. So we have a black truck that stopped at Saratoga Trail. Same truck stopped to pet a dog. Did not observe white four-door vehicle. I knew exactly what time. Canine unit exited the home. Officer surprise returned. Appeared to be a different canine. So this is about what was going on there with the canines, the doors opening and closing, information given to Baumhover. And this is Officer Davies. Now, this is on 8/17. Now, this is 2 days after Chris's confession, right? At 13:19 hours, I was dispatched to their address, their home address, right? Because regarding a burglary in progress, the reporting person stated there were 3 people inside the house, and he didn't believe they were supposed to be there. They said there was a camera person and a male in a suit. Now, this is when there is video of this as well on our site, the police cam. It was his defense team, okay? So Taconic Officer Lambert contacted the Weld County Investigator. This was his defense team that was in there, and they were performing forensic investigation. So that, again, there is video of that on there. Now, this is by, again, officer, this is Ian Albert. On the 14th, he was assigned by Public Information Officer during the course of the investigation. During that period, I answered numerous phone calls from the media, issued press releases, and conducted 2 separate conferences to disseminate information to the media upon arrival of my commanding officers. Additionally, I answered several tips and comments pertaining to this case from the public and maintained an active log of those calls. They are as follows. So on 8/15, possible sighting of victims and children at a Sprouts Market. 8:15, female party from Massachusetts called who claimed to be a psychic and foresaw their location being a wooded, area near water. 8:15, Sandra, mom of Shanann, called to advise that Shanann and Chris had court coming up on the 24th in Weld County regarding a family matter. On the 15th, contacted by GPD regarding a suspected vehicle called into the office in Greeley, registered to a family in Denver not associated. 8:15, friend of the family, Sarah Nudd, called to inform that gender party of Shanann and Chris was canceled recently. 8:15, Dolores Tremble called, advising a possible sighting in the vicinity at the 24-hour fitness gym, but that was not, valid. 8:15, Emily Boyer called, advising she was receiving strange emails from an unknown person claiming to be a reporter. Emily lives in Gunnison and advised she has no relation to the case and did not understand why this was occurring. On 8:15, Debbie Moore from Minnesota also received strange emails stating that someone from People magazine wanted info on the case. Debbie has no affiliation of the matter. So now a Debbie Moore and an Emily Boyer were saying they were being contacted. Pretty strange. One in Minnesota, and is that Colorado, because they're not giving a state. Possible sighting of a victim at a restaurant in Cook County, Montana. No. Cindy DeRosset, friend of Shanann, said to check the trash cans for Thrive wrappers at the house. If there are none, that would indicate that Shanann had not been at the house because Shanann used it every day religiously. On August 16th, Virginia Kinch called to report suspicious white truck seen near Highway 52 at WCR 3.5 at 1:30 on Monday morning. No identifying information on the vehicle, just a white truck. 8:16, Kyle Bounds of Jackson, Mississippi, called to inform suspicious comment made in one of the comment sections of CBS News Channel Forum related to the article about Shanann Watts. A copy of that log was added to the case. Nothing further at this time. So this is his notes about this. So here's the Sarah Nudd, the cancellation. Kyle calling about this 12 hours. Mr. Watts was stabbed. It said Ms. Watts was stabbed. Someone said, we know that's false. Contact Greeley Police Department, suspicious vehicle that registered back to Denver, Pontiac Grand Am. Debbie Moore, Minnesota, received an email that people may want more information. Virginia Kinch. And then there's the restaurant, and then Emily Boyer, Ginnison, 24-Hour Fitness. And so then he's just got that all marked here. And here, let's see, he was requested by Detective Baumhofer to transport the items of evidence. Okay, and we have a video of this as well. This was a bag containing underwear, was bag number 1 of Shanann's, bag 2 a shirt, bag 3 a bra, bag 4 the sheet. All 4 bags contained Shanann's Watts on a printed label. Okay, and you can see him do this. He cuts the tape, he gets the dirt from the sheet, they put it in a separate brown paper bag and marked dirt from the sheet. The sheet was placed inside a dry room locker, draping over a rod that was inside the locker. Okay, and so again, I said we have a video about this that you can watch. And so he brought all the evidence in there. And this is just more of the evidence logging. Okay, and this is about collecting Chris's cell phone on August 14th. This is Ian Albert, officer, was instructed by Dave Baumhofer to take a cell phone belonging to Christopher Watts and to respond to the Decano Police Department. The purpose was for Decano officers to conduct a search of the data from that phone. I arrived on scene at their office and met with Officer Boyer of Decano PD. Officer Boyer received the phone and downloaded the data. Shortly later, made a copy of the data on a USB drive. I then returned to the Frederick Police Department and provided the USB and the phone back to Detective Baumhofer. Okay, so here's the rust. Now here's the one. Okay, I believe this is, no, maybe not. Let me see. On the 18th at approximately 1100 hours, I contacted Christopher Rusk via phone. I received a tip that Rusk had personally known both, oh, this is not the one I'm thinking, but Shanann and Christopher Watts, and may have information regarding the case. I spoke with Rusk, who identified himself as the service manager for Longmont Ford dealership. And he informed me that Chris Watts had previously worked at the dealership, and Rusk was friends with him. After Rusk had heard that Shanann and the children went missing, he reached out to Chris via phone. Rusk stated that the only thing Chris Watts said to him was that I shouldn't have talked to the media. Nothing further at this time. Again, Ian Albert on the 18th at approximately 15:30 hours, I was advised that Detective Baumhofer to respond to McKee Medical Center in Loveland to retrieve an item of evidence regarding this case. I later arrived on the scene and was handed a silver canister with the words Celeste written on it. I then returned to the Frederick Police Department and handed that to Detective Baumhofer. Nothing further at this time. On August 15th at 1600 hours, I was asked to pass out flyers regarding missing persons. This is Officer Kenneth Dahl. While passing out flyers, I contacted 4 people who said they knew Shanann. Officer Dahl took the contact information from the 4 people and gave it to Officer Minley. Okay, now this is Jared Bakes. So on the 15th, I arrived at work at 1600 hours. There were several different agency personnel at the police department. I was briefed by Commander Egan of the situation and was assigned as the patrol sergeant. At approximately 1830 hours, I was asked by Commander Egan to drive Chris Watts' Lexus vehicle to the back of the police department from the front of 5th Street and coordinate with Watts' father to retrieve his bag from the vehicle and then get him a ride to the hotel. Commander Egan also advised me that I would need to seize the vehicle and have it towed by Brad's Towing. At approximately 20:30 hours, I had Officer James transport Watts' father to a hotel in Del Camino after he retrieved his gym bag from the back of the storage area at Watts' Lexus. I then had Officer Goodman secure the vehicle with evidence tape and have it towed to Brad's Towing, where it was placed in a secure storage building. I was advised by Commander Egan that I would need to coordinate with Detective Baumhofer, who was in the process of obtaining a search warrant for the Watts residence. Commander Egan advised that I would supervise the scene while the search warrant was executed for the residence. Once the search warrant was signed by a judge and ready to execute, I responded to the residence at approximately 22:12 and assisted the field evidence technician Steve Waj at the residence. I assisted Officer Waj and collected all the bedding, including pillows in both. Now, yes, we have video of this as well in the upstairs rooms. In the master bedroom, I also contained the family dog in a kennel, which was running loose inside the house. And I turned over custody of the dog to a family friend, Amanda Thayer. We also have video of this. I'll put this all in the video description so you can check out those individual videos. At the request of Officer Waj, I video recorded the screen of the baby monitor. We have this as well. While Officer Waj, this is a little distressing, strangled a doll on each of the kids' beds in the rooms. The baby monitor was located on the right nightstand in the master bedroom. The baby monitor cameras were fixed on a wall in each of the kids' bedrooms that focused on the beds. I also looked through a backpack that was located on the living room floor, which was determined to be Chris Watts' work bag. Inside the bag, I located a laptop computer, which was seized as evidence. During the search of the residence, Brad's Towing arrived on scene to tow Chris Watts' work truck from the scene. I assigned Officer Manley with the task, and the vehicle was towed to Brad's Towing, where it was placed in a secure building. Once the search of the residence was completed, myself and Officer Waj secured the residence and left the scene. We transported the evidence we collected to the Frederick Police Department, where it was secured in a locked room until Officer Waj could finish processing it. On August 17th, I was requested by Deputy District Attorney Patrick Roche to send him the video I took on my work phone of the baby monitor scene of the screen. I was able to send him the video, nothing further. Meredith Lindsay. So on August 14th at approximately 9:45, CSO Simmons was asked to drive an unmarked police car to the area of 2825 Saratoga Trail and observe the above residence for suspicious activity. I arrived on scene at approximately 1,000 hours, and I parked a few houses away at the 6300 block of Steeple Rock Drive. I kept notes of license plates passing in the area in the event they would be relevant on a notepad. Okay, so she just put, license plates here. So a white van leaving a residence. And she texted to Detective Baumhover, male and a female go into residence. Husband moved a truck to east out of sight at 10:45. So he's moving, this is on the 14th at 10:45. Chris Watts moves his truck to the east out of sight. And then white four-door car, brunette with little girl, news interview. And then 11:45, FEPD, Frederick Boulder on scene. Okay, looped and left, and another vehicle, she doesn't say what it is, she saw a black Explorer. At approximately 12:20, CSO Scarlett relieved me of my duties, and after a small bathroom break, I joined Sergeant Albert in canvassing the neighborhood, handing out flyers along Steeple Rock Drive and Ruby Hill Drive. I documented which houses did not have an answer, and a flyer was only posted on the door. I later provided this list to Officer Manley. On the 15th, at approximately 1600 hours, I was asked by Officer Manley to assist with updated flyer handouts at Aggregate Boulevard and Wyndham Hill Parkway. I was stationed to the west of the above intersection and handed out flyers to all incoming traffic, asking for updates and asking residents to check their security cameras for footage. At approximately 1800 hours, I was told by Officer Fairbanks, who had also been handing out flyers at the same location and who had just received a phone call, that we were to pack up and leave the area, which we did immediately. Nothing further at this time. Those are her notes. Okay, this is Jared Bakes, and this is August 20th at approximately 1700 hours, I was asked by Detective Baumhofer if I saw a shovel in the back of Chris Watts' work truck. I advised him that I did, and that I would complete a supplemental report with the information. On Monday evening, myself, Officer James, and Officer Coonrad were at the Watts residence speaking with Chris Watts about where his family may be. Officer James was speaking with Chris on the front driveway of the residence when I walked over to Chris's work truck, which was parked directly in front of the driveway to his residence, facing east. I began looking into the back of the truck, over the tailgate, and I observed several silver toolboxes, some sort of pump with a large hose, and a few other miscellaneous tools. I walked to the passenger side of the truck while still looking into the bed of the truck, and I observed a shovel. The shovel was a spade shovel with a red handle and had a black rubber grip on the top of the handle. I noticed that there was fresh dirt on the spade of the shovel. I noticed that the shovel was facing down, with the bowl of the spade facing towards the tailgate, into the bed of the driver's side and angled upwards to the passenger side, with the end of the handle being close to level with the top of the bed of the truck. The shovel was stored between the cab of the truck and a silver toolbox or gas tank in the bed of the truck. When the vehicle was towed from the residence on Wednesday night, I was inside the residence, and I was not present outside when it was being towed. I had heard from someone that I cannot recall who was there that the shovel may no longer have been in the bed of the truck. While executing the search warrant at the residence, I looked in the garage, basement, and outside the residence in an attempt to locate any shovels, but did not locate any. This is Officer Coonrad, Scott Coonrad, on August 20th. This officer responded to the Longmont Police Department to retrieve evidence that was drying. Upon arrival, I spoke to evidence technician Cavins. Cavins stated that technician Natrib and Sergeant Cage are the only people that have access to the locked dry safe. I was advised no one had been in the cabinet since the items were placed inside. The cabinet was locked. Upon my arrival, I gathered evidence: number 60 underwear, number 61 shirt, number 62 bra, number 66 sheet. These items were placed back in their original bags and sealed with evidence tape. I also collected number 79, the bottom cabinet floor liner, which was under the sheet in the evidence drying cabinet. Number 80, the dirt that had fell off the sheet. And number 81, the bottom floor liner, which was under the clothing items that were dried. The forensic evidence drying cabinet was divided into two sections. The sheet was in the door to the left, and the other clothing items were in the door to the right. The items were placed in plastic evidence bags and stapled shut to allow them to breathe. I placed evidence tape over the seals. I signed a property and evidence report sheet that Longmont Police had completed. A copy was provided and placed in this file. The evidence was later booked into locker number 12. This is Officer Goodman again, and the supplemental report is to account for the handwritten notes I had taken during my contacts with Christopher Watts and Sandra Rusak. During my phone conversation with Christopher, I noticed that the phone he had called from had been a different number that we had for him, so I wrote down that number on a post-it note to document the number in my report. I had also taken some notes on Bella and Celeste's height, weight, scars, or marks, as well as a scar he described on Shanann's forehead, to be able to advise Weld County Dispatch records of the information for the missing persons report. As soon as I transferred my notes, I shredded them. I had taken some notes from Sandra as well, and again, as soon as they were transferred, I shredded them. Since the conclusion of the investigation, Commander Egan had advised all notes need to be preserved for this case. I had already destroyed my notes, so I'm documenting here the reason for my notes not being available. Okay, so this is Kenneth Dahl on the 16th. Officer Dahl was informed that all written notes need to be kept for this case. On the 14th, at 11:18, Officer Dahl took notes on the name, date of birth, and phone number for Nate, next door neighbor. When Officer Dahl completed his supplemental report, he destroyed the notes. This time, the note was taken in record on video. And this is Steve Walsh. At approximately 1,000 hours on August 21st, I reported to 245 Oak Street, Frederick, to execute 2 vehicle search warrants. The processing of the vehicles was conducted by CBI agent Dave Yoakum, crime scene analyst, and Kaylee Henson, forensic scientist. Prior to the beginning of processing, I verified the vehicle license plates and matched them to the respective copies of the search warrants. In attendance from our agency was Detective Baumhover, CSO Lindsay Simmons, and myself. All evidence items were transferred directly from above-mentioned CBI agents to myself and immediately logged into property. All evidence items were immediately transferred from CBI agents to myself and assigned an item number, which was written on each evidence bag. Al Simmons was in the course of being trained as a field evidence technician and assisted by writing on some evidence items bags while I assigned numbers prior to transport. Besides observing, my primary task was transferring evidence from CBI possession to our agency and into an evidence room. I signed a transfer of evidence form to that effect, and at the time of process, the evidence items collected from the 2 vehicles were assigned as items 82 to 97. The suspect's work truck was processed first, and then the Lexus. I placed copies of the vehicle search warrants along with the inventory lists on the front seats of each vehicle. I requested final photographs to be taken to include and mention documents. See Agent Henson's report. Start of processing began at 10:20 hours and ended at 13:39 hours. Upon completing the searches, I resealed the vehicles with evidence tape to all locations that a previous tape was located prior to searches and wrote my initials and the date on each one. I immediately transported all evidence to the Frederick Police Department and entered them into evidence room for storage. Okay, now here is where another discrepancy was going wild. Somebody thought this was, and when I say someone, I'm talking about a creator, not just reported that this was the search warrant. Seriously thought this was the official search warrant, and then reported that the blankets of the children were found along with the stuffed animals. And that was reported as fact. Okay? I have a video all about how this was not reported as fact, that these are his notes, what they were looking for. You can see that this is not an official search warrant. It has a post-it note here. It has other notes on it. Get neighbors code to get into, okay, Vivint video, Dave, this is, okay, Cody Roberts. These were notes. These are stuff that they were looking for. That is not what they recovered. Okay? They say right up here, the items recovered, they have a number, 82 to 97. 82 to 97, okay? These are more notes. And when we go into the evidence, you see 82 to 97. Let me see if it's I do show it in the other video I have, and I will put it in the video description, but they did not recover the blankets or the stuffed animals. Okay, absolutely not, and that was not the official search warrant. Okay, and I think I just want to go over just some of the other stuff I just wanted to show you real quick, if I can pull it up, that video of Chris driving his truck that was coming home the day that he was coming to the house on the 13th, that was picked up by a house on another street nearby. Just trying to see if I have the evidence thing here, but it is in another video. You'll see it that was not recovered, the blankets and things, but that let me just go to my other files here. Hang on and see if I can grab that video real quick. Okay, let's see. It should be this. Okay, and these are the video files. So let me see. Not that one. Nope, not that one. I don't think the kids were out when his truck went by. I believe it's over here somewhere. Hang on, he's... Might be over here. Let me see. It's going to, his truck is going to come from like this direction down, but it might be the next one. Let me see. There's that. Hold on, that might, let me see. No, that's not his truck. Okay. His truck does show here. What was that one? Was that him? No. I wasn't watching that. I might have it in another place. Let me see here. I thought it was... I think these were the first ones that... Let me see. What is this? I think it's, let me see here. All right, there was, what did I want to show you? Let me just, okay. So let's just take a look. Now these photos are in the, they are, hold on a minute, in a video that you can see, and I zoom in on them, but these are, since we talked about Officer Walsh, these are the photos that he took. And people will point out the peanut butter. Celeste was not allergic to peanut butter, it was tree nuts. Again, I have a video that will zoom in on different parts so you can see these. So I'm not going to take a lot of time going through them because you can stop and look at them, but I have another video which I'll put in there where you can see them. We've gone in that garbage. There's close-ups of it. Those are the sheets recovered from the garbage that we just read about. There's dryer lint or vacuum cleaner debris in there. There's a Starbucks cup. We went into that cup and everything. There's Thrive wrappers. The sheets with the staining. Purse. Book. Shanann's office. Okay, I think that is the end of his pictures. Let me see. Yeah, that's the end of his pictures. I just want to look over here. What does it say? A friend request, a friend request, a friend request. What's really... Yeah, we've looked at all that. Okay. Anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. I'm going to get this up. And again, we are going to go through this, so if you have questions or anything, we are going through the files, we are going through the facts to make sure that, you know, people that want to study this case for the first time do have facts, because there was so much misinformation, just like in those little 2 pieces that I've told you. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. And just let me know if you have any specific questions of what way in the first 4 episodes, and I will link everything here, and it'll probably take me a minute to get it all in here because then to go immediately on. So I'm going to get all the information in, the links for the other 3 episodes, and then for the other videos and things that I'm telling you about. So thanks for watching, and again, just link any questions or anything that you have down below in the comments, and I hope it was helpful to you. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.